I hate izakais. I don't think they're all necessarily bad or anything, although many of them are, but there are just an insane amount of them. It's like every time they want to make a fantasy anime and don't really care about creating a protagonist, they just take a random Japanese citizen, which usually has the same amount of personality as your average hentai protagonist, shove him into another world, usually giving him some extraordinary OP power or an absurd new body, as if that's characterization. Reincarnated as a slime, as a demon lord, as a fucking farmer. Can we please have something different? Please! Of course, there are some exceptions to the rule, the obvious ones being shows like Mushoku Tensei, which turns being an isekai into a strength, and shows like Konosuba, which abuses the repetitiveness of the genre to make a comedy show instead of trying to take itself seriously. That's where Eminence in Shadow comes in. While I started watching it expecting the classic dose of cringe that seasonal isekais have become, I was actually surprised by how well the show understands what it means to be a parody. This show is like the monkey paw of terrible anime concepts. You want a protagonist that's happy he got transported to another world? Sure, but that's because he got himself killed while trying to become stronger than a nuclear bomb. You also want him to be so impossibly strong that every fight he's in looks more like bullying. Of course you can have that, but he's also obsessed with the idea of being a background character who only shows up as his secret identity when it's time to beat everyone's ass before disappearing again soon after. He's also weirdly obsessed with nuclear warheads? I don't know, let's move on.
僕が金になびく男に見えるとでも
見えるわ。
その通りだ。
Sid, this guy, does not give a shit about anything, and I mean literally. He does not know what's going on in this world he's been transported to, and he doesn't care about it either. All he wants to do is play pretend as he roleplays his weirdest power fantasies, ranging from quite literally tearing a bunch of bandits to shreds, to intimidating his opponent so much she feels as if she's been killed 3 times already, even though he hasn't even moved at all. While everyone else in the world gave up on their dreams of being the badass anime protagonist and most of us look at those times with embarrassment, this guy doubled the fuck down. He accidentally saved this girl from an illness, keyword being accidentally, tells her that he's the leader of a secret organization that's fighting to stop this cult he makes up on the spot that wants to revive a demon lord or something, I don't know, I didn't really follow this part, and gets her to help him on his quest. Now, none of this should matter since he made it up, right? Wrong! He was spot on! The cult is real, the illness is actually a curse, the organization he made up and of which he's the revered leader is now real, as his team of reasons for YouTube to demonetize me grows. And he's the only one that doesn't believe any of it is true! You see him sitting on a throne in this giant hall surrounded by his now fully developed harem, a necessity for any isekai anime, and all he thinks is, damn, these guys really like improv. Every time he comes up with something he thinks would make for a cool story, it just turns out to be true. At one point in the show, his sister gets kidnapped, everyone freaks out, they're losing their minds trying to figure out if she's even still alive, and with the utmost calm, he just goes,
そこだ。やべ、ずれた。そこに姉さんはいる。
And of course he's right, because him being right plays into the next scene where he fights this dude from the cult he made up earlier, who are actually the ones that captured his sister, kills him in a fashion fit for "these animes deep because people die," and immediately goes, "This random bandit was pretty strong, eh?" All of this while still doing his best Clark Kent impression as he goes home and immediately starts pretending he's completely unaware anything even happened. And that's nothing when compared to what he does when he explains why he embarked on his quest for
more power.
This guy became so strong, he could beat gang members 1v9. He is the Yasuo in the enemy team. He beats the shit out of an ex-army soldier, but that's not enough. For what is a man when pit against guns? What has he got when facing nuclear warheads? But that's when he realized, he finally understood, the solution to this problem laid in front of him all along. He must simply become the fucking bomb!
What the f
Cos'è?
What's also interesting is the stark contrast between Sid simply wandering about as he lives his LARP fantasies to the fullest, while the other characters actually try to understand what's going on around them. From the motivations of the cult of Diablos to those of Shadow, Sid's secret identity, to every other character these things seem unintelligible, yet they keep fighting and trying to make a difference because their lives actually depend on it, whereas Sid doesn't even think the threat exists in the first place. The story is not really that deep though, but I still think this difference between the protagonist and those around him helps give the characters of the show a motivation for what they do that isn't just because it's funny, while still providing some good material for a couple of jokes. Of course, some of the jokes get old pretty quickly, I guess it comes with the territory, but they do mix it up usually. There are some recurring gags like having Sid describe what he should do to be the most background a background character can be, or naming characters like J.K. Rowling would name members of the LGBT community. This guy's named Potato. I usually dislike meta comedy. I find it too simple to construct your jokes around the idea that the show isn't real. It breaks immersion and usually makes you chuckle the first time you see it happen before it gets boring. You know how in Velma you get like free comments about how funny it would be if X happened, or how if it was a show then X would happen in the first 5 minutes at most? Yeah, Eminence in Shadow does it a lot too. In all fairness though, they all come from Sid, who is actually imitating his favorite characters from anime and manga. Doesn't make them great, but it makes more sense than just having the cast break the fourth wall for no reason. The animation's okay, the fight scenes are pretty good, but I personally like the manga style a lot more though. They do dumb stuff like making the protagonist look extremely buff to show that he's pretty strong, while he's still wearing his normal school uniform, which makes for a great visual gag if you ask me. Overall though, even if this show will certainly not go down as a cornerstone of anime, it does a really good job at highlighting the tropes and cliches of the isekai genre, while still being compelling enough to be more than just a compilation of jokes. Either way, the first season gave us 20 episodes of dumb fun, and as of the writing of this video, the second season has been announced today, which is nice if you want to get into it and still have more content coming pretty soon. Hopefully with less real life objects disguised as animation. That shit sucks.